So you mean that I never have to buy the property, I can match up buyers and sellers, and we can do it through a wholesale lease-to-own property? Yeah, you can do that. This is $1,000. I got about a 13-page contract from Anderson Accounting to do this. I've got to make sure I've got an attorney so that I can do this properly. Because you don't want to go do this without the right team. And if you do get in a bind, you want your attorney to represent you in court. Okay? And especially if you're going to do this nationwide, which, you know, personally I wouldn't go too far nationwide, because where's the money? It's all along the coast, west coast, and it's probably all along the east coast, and in between is really kind of this business. I'm not sure there's other places that are higher, but you know, how far do we need to go? Okay? So here we can do properties 100,000 to 10 million or whatever, no rehabs. Now you say, well, wait a minute, Dan, what about this fix and flip? If we were in the middle of doing something like this and we actually fixed it and flipped it, it wouldn't be a wholesale lease-to-own. It could be a wholesale, and we would be the investor, but it would no longer be earned income. It would be investment income because we purchased it. You can't fix it without purchasing it. Maybe you can, but generally speaking, when people think of fix and flip, they buy it, they fix it, they flip it. As soon as you buy it, it's investment income. You know, I'm not saying one's better than the other. You just need to be clear, because if you're not, you do the wrong thing, you go to jail too and get in trouble with the IRS. That's all. You just have to be clear what you're doing. So, if it gets a fix and flip, what are we doing? See, the reason I'm starting with wholesale is because it's kind of like the easiest thing. If you're going to go to New York and you had to get there in a car, the first thing you do is open up the car door and get in. Well, you know, you're going to have to do something else once you get in there, like steer or whatever else. But wholesale is kind of like that. It's a way of, the easiest way to get in there to help people out. Because if you can imagine, Claire knows, if you're doing a wholesale, you can get the owner of that property closest to their asking price without having to beat them up and try to get them to come down on their price. Because you've got somebody that wants to buy, but their credit's challenged, and they need time to get the credit fixed. It took my wife and I 8 months to get a refinance on our property we live on a rental, because it's so difficult to get through that process now, especially if you've got your own business. It's tough. So they need the time, and they need the hand-holding, and they need to be able to, you know, figure out how to do this if they're coming in as a buyer. So why did I not like it? Because it looked to me like people were just using them, and I had a company come in here and talk to us about lease-to-own, and I went to the 2-day training, and I said, well, how do you stop this whole thing about just using people for the deposit and kicking them out the door? Because that's not why I'm here. I don't want that to happen. If I can't have my tenants win, I don't want to be any part of it. He said, well, it's easy. What we do is we pre-qualify the tenant as though they were going to purchase before they even get a chance to sign a contract and get in the house. And if it doesn't look like they can qualify within a year to 2 max, you don't accept them. You just tell them, sorry, you've got a bankruptcy on there, or you've got so much debt you'd never qualify in the next 3 or 5 years. We're not going to take you. And I went, oh, wow, the light just turned on. Okay, let me get this straight. If I can pre-qualify people and I know that they're going to win, I can solve some of the problems. And one of the problems that I can solve is all the accounting. Because when you're doing rental properties, there's a lot of accounting. Contractors, repairs, and all this stuff that's going on. That's a way of automating and delegating by getting rid of all that accounting. Maria knows it well. She says, oh God, I'm quitting one job for another accounting job. Where am I going? Exactly. That's huge. Sure, I could do rentals all day long and just delegate the heck out of it to a lot of people to help me out and build that up. But every time I do that, there goes some of the ROI for the investor and me. Because we've got a lot more people in the middle dealing with all this stuff. How do you get rid of all that? You quit doing repairs. you only do enough repairs when you first buy the property so it's decent enough for people to go, yeah, I've moved into that. And you don't buy a property that needs so much rehab that it's going to cost you $20,000, $30,000, or $40,000. No, you look for something that just needs some light cosmetic, or you don't go there. And you've got to have a good deal, or you don't go there. Okay? So you get rid of the repairs, you get rid of all the accounting, and guess what else you get rid of? Wait, what, guess? Who was it that was taking some of your profit? That is as bad as the worst tenants you could ever think of?
Property management.
Property management. You don't need property management because who the heck is going to move in there and spend a whole lot of money on deposits that's non-refundable, they're going to lose. They're not going to walk out. They want it to work. Now, when this company came in and educated me, the other thing they educated me on was, well, how come I've been doing rentals for 30 years and I can never get those tenants to sign up and do a rent-to-own? I mean, a lease-to-own, a rent-to-own. And they said, because you chose them wrong in the first place. You have to advertise in the beginning, not try to educate them once they get in there. It's just not going to happen. You need to not let them through the door unless they're already into it and want to do a lease-to-own. Once I started doing that, I found out it's not that difficult to find people that want to do a lease-to-own. The most difficult part is them coming up with full deposit. So guess what the next solution is? Okay, if this is the full deposit, my investor will accept partial deposit and let you make monthly payments on the rest for 10 months. Maybe 2 years if we have to. Can you afford to do that? Do I have to lower the rent to be able to make it affordable for these people to do this? In some cases I do. And if I have to lower the rent, guess what goes up? Someone's going to have to make up the difference here. It could be the deposit, it could be the sales price. Guess what they complain about the least? Sales price. Why? Because it's month to month, what can they afford? And when I can show them that they can actually live in the property for half as much to own it as they could to rent it, they're like, well, that sounds good. I mean, this used to be really complicated when we were doing 5-year, 6-year things with standard tenants and they weren't leased to own. And just a couple nights ago, I went, oh, I'm getting ready to do this meeting. I've got to hurry up, clean this thing up so I've got somebody to show somebody, how nice this is and how this works. So let's take an example. $50,000 house purchase price. Now, is it really worth $50,000 when we purchase it? It better not be, or we just did a bad deal, right? It better be worth more than that, or we didn't find a deal in the first place. And again, these low-end properties, that's where you have to make the money, is making sure you find a good deal. Okay? Let's say that property will get us $1,000 a month in rent. And well, if we're purchasing it for $50,000, it's really worth a little bit more than that, but we could probably get $1,000 a month in rent. Not in Santa Barbara. The rule, 1% rule, $1,000 of rent. House should be worth about $100,000. Midwest, some places, that's true. Not in high-priced markets. So if you're in one of those other markets, generally speaking, that's the truth. So let's consider it might be worth $100,000 if we're getting $1,000 in rent per month. Okay, that's $500 for me, $500 for the investor. In 1 year, that's $12,000 total rent. Okay? What are the costs? $50,000 to purchase, about $5,000 to get it rent ready. If it's going to cost more than that, what are we going to do with it? We're either going to walk away from it, or it's going to become a wholesale deal that we flip to a rehabber that wants to buy it and fix it, because we're not going there. Could, but I'm not. Been there, done that. It's a lot of work. There's more money in fixing them up and flipping them, okay? There's more money, but there's more time it takes to do it. And if it takes you 6 months to do one fix up and flip, and you can do 6 wholesales in the same amount of time, you could conceivably make more doing that than fixing and flipping, okay? Okay, so 5,000 rent-ready insurance, 2,000 for taxes and insurance. Now, most of the properties we have, we got about 20 right now, that probably 500 for insurance, 500 for taxes. They're lower end properties. But what I found is the longer you hang on to the properties, the more the city and the state come back and go, oh, you're a business, you're not a property owner, you're not owner occupant, we're raising your taxes. Oh, insurance company, you're doing this as a business, we're going to raise that amount of insurance. So typically homeowners get a little bit better break on the tax and insurance than the business does. So I factored in down here probably about $1,000, $1,200 for them, taxes and insurance. Okay? Expenses, total expenses, $57,000. Sell it for $85,000. That's only a $35,000 market from when we purchased it. Is that like hard to believe that you could do? It seems reasonable. $35,000. Purchase it for $50,000, sell it for $30,000. See, the other reason that people will pay more is because they're on a lease to own and they need somebody to help them, somebody to educate them, somebody to get them through that process so they can actually purchase. And if they're paying $1,000 a month for rent, and we can show them, hey, you buy for $85,000, you put $2,500 down, 4% loan, 30 years, payments are going to be about $400. Taxes and insurance added on to that means it'll probably be about $500. That's half of $1,000. You're going to have people all day long go, yeah, I'd much rather pay $500 a month to own it. That makes sense, Brett? I mean, it's not too far from reality. Okay? Profit. Total profit, $40,000. The investor gets $20,000. I get $20,000. Now, I just did this the other night, so if my math is wrong, please get back to me and let me know, because you're pretty sharp on the math. Okay? But it looks like about a 35% return on investment in 1 year. And a lot of people say, well, I don't want to pay all the capital gains on selling something all the time. Well, you can do an exchange. You want to do a 1031 exchange? Great. Or you can just pay the taxes and take the money and do what you want. I just didn't take the money right now and do what I want. But that's how easy that is for investing. You're in and out, in and out, in and out. And you're doing that in the Midwest. Okay? Here's an example of the website where we list these properties. Okay? And guess what the About page has? Requirements and every step that they have to go through to get in there. I can't tell you how many times people call me back and say, hey Dan, where's it located? How much is it? How big is it? And I listen to that and I just keep texting them back and say, look at the About page. They either get upset and go away, which is fine because that's part of the filtering process, because if they're going to be that dumb and that much of a pain in the butt, I don't want to deal with them. Or they're going to get wise and do what the About page says. And guess what is on that About page? It leads you back to the rental application. There's things on that rental application that you look at and you'll go, you really asked them that? I want your social media link. Is that legal? I looked that up just the other day on Google search. Now, America may be behind 5 or 6 nations out there health-wise, and we're giving people GMOs. But America is really big on surveillance. Imagine that. Surprise? Most of the nations out there say, no, it's illegal. You cannot ask somebody for their social media link. America? It's public information. You're just asking for what's public. I'm not asking to be your friend on Facebook. That's deeper. I just want your Facebook or some social media link. They're like, why? And I say, I don't know. That's what my investor wants, and you don't offer it, you don't get it. Take it or leave it. Okay? What else? There's a lot of things. If you look up there and you go to the Apply Now, you look at that and you go, wow. Is there any situation that you're in right now where you couldn't assume all the utilities and put them in your name? There is? Right. A lot of different questions on that application which you look at and go, man, you're really kind of digging deep here. Yeah, we don't want people to fail. We want them to win. We're not looking to get their deposit. There's something bigger for us. The profit at the end of the year that we sell, and something bigger for them paying half as much per month to own rather than rent, and helping them through that process. We have different mortgage broker, credit repair people, wherever we need them, to help these people go through that process. And I say, hey, look, the application is free, getting you pre-qualified with our credit repair mortgage person, it's free. All that stuff is free. We want to find out before you even move in there, so you're not feeling like, is this a scam? I have a lot of people say, well, I don't know, you're out of state, this kind of looks kind of weird, you know, all this Craigslist scam stuff, and you don't have an office? I say, yeah, I got an office. In every town that I do business, I have an office, and it's called my what? My attorney. You better have an attorney wherever you're doing business. And as soon as I say, here it is, when you're ready to go in there and sign the paperwork, rent to own, there's a rental agreement and a lease to own agreement, you go talk to the attorney. That's the office that I've got. Yeah, I live in a different state, but if you want to know if this is for real, go talk to my attorney. Now, how many people that are looking to squat trash and head on down the road is going to want to go to an attorney's office and talk to the attorney? They just say, well, I'll get back with you on that. Then you never hear from them again. They're gone. So it's all part of the screening process. Okay? We want them to be gone. We want the people who are serious and have integrity and really want to do this and be successful. That's what we're doing. Okay? So this is eliminating a lot of stuff that we've done in the past that we don't have to do anymore. All the accounting is gone. All the property management's gone. It's huge. And if you're doing rentals right now, I've been doing it for 30 years. And I look back at having done a lease to own 10 or 15 years ago, and it took me these meetings and inviting people in, and I won't say who they were, because if I said who they were, then I couldn't tell you this. It turned out that some of the people in here said, hey, Dad, did you look at their record? They just got out of federal prison for real estate fraud. You're going to do business with them? And I said, really? And I didn't do my due diligence enough, thank you very much. I guess I taught you people well. Now, who knows why they really went there? Were they stupid and just did stupid things? Or were they purposely frauding people? I don't know. But when I sat down and listened to some of the stuff that they were trying to do and come back and be good at whatever they're doing, there was some good education in there that I got that I went, wow. I'm sorry I can't do business with you because I can't drag your past with me, but I can certainly take some of the ideas that you just taught me and go help other people understand that. So that's what we're doing. Okay. Real estate fraud, ignorance is no excuse for the law, so that's why we need attorneys to work with, okay, to make sure that we're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing legally. Okay, so this is a good site, a lot of information. This is the NH Big site. Now you'll notice we got Victor here. Hey, Victor. So Victor's gone through my program. He got it wired and said, Dan, it's been wonderful, but I want to go do my own thing. And I said, God bless you, and I hope you make it. And so I hope some of the stuff I'm telling you today, you take back and go, damn, that's some good information. I'm going to go, awesome. You know. Is it competition? There's so much stuff out there in the world. I mean, think about it. How many investors would jump up and down about lease to own, you know? Very few. But the solution to major problems are right there. And there's so much stuff going out there. There's really no competition for anybody, because if you're serious enough about putting the work in, there'll be rewards for putting the work in. That's the difference. It takes work, a lot of work. So this is the other end of the business. That's the high end. Okay? And if you want to do the high end, we're not buying the properties. It's no money out of our pocket. It can be $10 million. And Victor and I worked together with the guy on this place, which was $4.5 million. What did we find out about that guy, Victor? You don't have to mention his name. What did we find out?
He wasn't motivated.
Wasn't motivated. But remember when we had the people go find out about the property and about him and about doing the loans and different things with him?
Oh yeah, it's just running around.
What they said to us, and Victor, was this guy has a history of suing everybody he ever does anything with. He's already done a lot of illegal things in this property in San Francisco, and we're not going down that road with this guy. And we went, oh, okay, thank you, we'll back out of that deal. And we did.
It's actually leased now to one of the assistant coach and one of the NFL teams.
NFL teams, because it's a high-end property, leased. I wonder if it's rent or rent-to-own.
I didn't get that far.
Yeah. But you know, you can do enough due diligence to where you go, okay, 2 steps forward, or oops, let's go this way. Let's just not go there. And that's what your attorneys are for, and your teams that you build up, and you move on. So, you know, this is a game that is easily played, and we're not buying it. It doesn't take a cent. It just takes time. It takes a lot of time. You know? So, I got about 15 minutes left here before we get Paul up. This is some of the stuff that you'll get. You can go to the website at HBIG and see what kind of things that we have to offer you as services that you're not going to have to go out and pay for or deal with, because we've got it all there, including, you know, whatever it takes to do these wholesale lease-to-owns with the contracts and the attorneys and all that stuff. And Paul says, okay, Dan, so what is this bandit sign to business sign stuff? Okay, so one of the things that I realized from different people that spoke here and have done different things, that when you're selling a house, wholesaling, or a realtor, the realtors all know, one of the big things that sells a house is not only a sign in front of the house, but the signs that are down at the end of the block, you know, in the right areas to direct people back to the property. And how did they ever end up calling some of these signs that direct people bandit signs? Mark, what would you say that why the word bandit came up?
I'm not going to answer that.
Because if you put the sign in the wrong place and the city comes along and spots it, they go, thanks for leaving us your phone number, we're really hurting for money, and we're going to just send you a big fine of $500 for putting that sign on public property. Score for the city, right? It happens all the time. And a lot of people say, hey Dan, that's the price of doing business. I don't care how many of those fines that I have to pay, I'll pay the fine. And I thought, well, you know, if I'm seriously going to get an NHBIG and we're going to go out and do this wholesale lease-to-own, which is going to be, you know, $50,000 easily on a $1 million property all day long, then what are we going to do about the signs? I don't want to deal with that. I need to sit down and figure out how to turn that whole mess into a business. Paul says, okay, Dan, I want to hear this. Okay, so imagine, Mark, you own a house in Santa Barbara. I don't know if you do or not, but I just say, imagine if you did. And I said, Mark, would you put a sign like this in front of your house, especially if you wanted to sell it and do a lease-to-own, that said, buy owner, lease-to-own, required deposit and credit repair. Now that doesn't say that you are the person who's solving the credit issues. It just says it's required. If you want to buy this house and lease-to-own, you're going to have to do a deposit, you're going to have to do credit repair, somehow. And they call up and they say, Mark, I drove by your house, great place, I really like it, I want that place. And Mark said, well, you must have seen my business sign out there in front of my house. And they said, I did. And Mark said, well, that was my business sign. Now, this house isn't really for sale, but I got plenty that are, and if you don't like what we have, we'll find what you want. You tell us what you want, we'll find it. That's our job. That's my business sign. Okay? Well, how much did it cost for you to get a business sign and go in and do that business? $30? Business sign? And I talked to Brett. Brett's a realtor, broker. And I asked him at one of the meetings, you wouldn't do that as a realtor, right? Oh no, because you could lose your license. Now, you know, being an investor is a choice. It's not that one's better or worse, it's just a lifestyle choice. I don't know, you're an attorney, what do you think? Legal, illegal? For somebody to
do the research.
have to do the research. Yeah. Great. We're going to find out, aren't we? Because if somebody has their own property and they have the legal right to put a sign in front of their house, and it's what they call a business sign, they may have the perfect right to do that. Now, if it's a rental property and your landlord says, no, I'm not going to let you do that, well, that's a whole other story. Okay? But imagine, first of all, if you've got a lease-to-own deal with somebody, and you have that out there in front of the house, it's what it is. But if you had a house here, and right down the street was a perfect place for the realtors to put their signs, and you talked to the neighbor and said, how would you like to own a little business for $30 and you can put the sign up, And whenever you got tired of doing the business, you can pull a sign down and go take a vacation for 4 months and come back and stick the sign back up again and do it whenever you want to. And they say, well, yeah, but how do we know that the house actually sold if it's got your phone number on there, Dan? And I say, because it's not going to have my phone number, it's going to have your phone number. And you're going to be tied into our database, and every time somebody comes in that's interested in buying, there's our buyer's lead. It's going to go in that database, and you can call people up anytime you want and find out, did it ever sell? What's going on? You're the person that's in control of your own business. Okay? Right? Make sense? You know. While you're waiting for people to see your sign and become a buyer, guess what else you can do if you want to? Retired, stay at home, brand new, newbie, whatever. You can have the sign out in front of your house, and you could be calling Craigslist now for sellers. You got the sign to bring in the buyers, and now you're doing the sellers. What do? You get on Craigslist, for sale by owner. That's a really nice house. You own that house? I really like it. But would you consider a lease-to-own? No. Depends. Okay, well there's almost a foot in the door there. If you said yes I would, then the answer is okay, can I call you back? And then you call back with your partner, me, and we start talking about a possible lease-to-own. Okay, that's on a house for sale. What about a for rent by owner? You call up the for rent by owner, not the management companies, because they're going to go, what? Get lost. You call up the for rent by owner and you say, hey, great place, I'm really interested in that, but would you consider maybe a lease to own? No? You would? Yeah, I'll get my partner, we'll call you back. So while your sign's out there pulling in buyers, you're making phone calls to get sellers, and these signs can go any place. Now how do they get out there? We can even have somebody do door hangers. You can even have the door hangers paid by your title company. One side is the title company's name, the information. The other side is, hey, here's your $30 business, put up a sign, we'll get you going, but you want to make sure the signs are in the right place. So if you're going to go put a door hanger on somebody's door, you don't go to the end of the cul-de-sac, right? You get on Google's map and you look for heavily traveled streets in nice areas and go, wow, let me go drop off some door hangers. And the first one that sells, maybe they get half of what they get on the fee. Okay? So this is a little part-time business to get people started. And it can start and stop anytime you want to. And if it is legal, which I suspect if you own the house, it'd be pretty hard for the city to come back and go, you can't put that sign in front of your house. Now, you know, some cities you probably couldn't, and some cities you could. If you're in a homeowner association, I guarantee you, you can't. Not do that. They don't want any for sale signs, period. But in places you can. So you just need to pick and choose. Okay, so there's a really easy part-time business to start up. We're here to help move you into that if you're interested. Okay? Does it work? Well, Victor, who just took a little slip out the door there, there's his $5,000 check before we were even doing the lease-to-own stuff. This was just a standard wholesale. So everything that I'm doing now starts off as a wholesale, but it doesn't have to stay there. You know, you walk in there and you go, wow, this place is trashed. There's only one thing that we can do here. We can't wholesale your house, I'm sorry. We actually have to go look for an investor who'll come in and buy it cash, fix it up, and flip it. But it started off heading down the road of wholesale, which got us into the conversation, and it turned out to end up being something else. Wholesale. Could be probate. Could be subject to, could be a million of the things that you already know about or don't know about. This is just a lead in the door and probably will work in a lot of cases. If it doesn't, whatever's left is just another option. That's all. Any questions? Going once? Yes?
You were talking about getting the properties for $50,000 with a significant discount. How are you finding those properties?
Just like we talked about, I'll tell you another way, but just like we talked about when you call up and you say, hey, for sale by owner, I'm interested in that property, that's one way. For rent by owner, that's another way. Years ago, I noticed that the real estate market started using Craigslist, and I talked to some realtors, and I said, why are you using Craigslist? And it was like, oh, I came up with some whatever. The reality is, that's where everybody's going, so they're advertising on Craigslist too, right? It's not just the MLS. So, there's a lot of ways to get to those properties, and here's a little tip for you. If you want to do something more than $5,000 worth of cosmetics, you jump on Craigslist and you go to the area that you want to buy properties, and you look for properties that are for sale, and when you look at the pictures, you go, hey, wait a minute. This property is like in the middle of a rehab because they're showing me pictures, but it looks like, you know, they haven't even painted the drywall. And it was recently put on there, but it's not painted. What's the deal? I'll tell you what the deal is. The people who got in the middle of it wanted to do fix and flip, but they didn't do their ARV after repair value properly. They blew it, and they go, well, yeah, you know, we got into this thing, and we're about 80% through with it, but we've had enough, we just need to get out. No, they're going broke. They lost money. They didn't do what they were supposed to do properly, and now they're stuck in a bind, and you can go in there and go, oh, well, you know, I have an investor that, you know, would give you this for it. Would you take it? That's another way. And we fought those all day long. You'd be surprised how many of those are out there. And that's why you want on Craigslist, you want to look for properties that have pictures, so you can kind of see what's going on. We even make the tenants, when they want to rent the home, drive by the house and take a picture of the front of the house. I'm about through here. We're almost out of time. But why would we do that? Because I can't tell you how many people say, oh yeah, I've been there, saw it, we're fine. Then we finally line them up. They go to view the house, which costs $50 to have somebody go show them the house, because people aren't going to do that for free. And they come out and they go, well, you know what? I just don't like the area, or this isn't really the area for my kid's school. Well, you could have found that out before you ever viewed the inside of the house. And then I had people say, yeah, I drove by there. And they didn't. So now I say, unless you text me a picture of the front of the house, you do not get a view. Really? Why? I said, if you notice what we have on all of our steps, it's nothing like a rental property, because these are not rental properties. These are lease-to-own. It's something way different than you've ever probably done. It's going to be harder than what you've ever done. It's going to be scarier than what you've ever done. And after a year, you're going to go, oh, I'm so glad I did this, because now I'm paying half as much for 30 years, and it just gets better. So I get tax returns for the mortgage and all kinds of stuff. Do you have a question?
I noticed on your sign, how do you tie the property up? You had something there that you have no money involved.
Yeah, it's real easy. When somebody says, yeah, I want to do a lease-to-own, I'm interested in doing that, then you start sending them contracts and say, hey, we have two contracts. One is a rent contract and one is a lease-to-own contract. Do these contracts look good to you? If they don't, let us know what needs to be changed. If what needs to be changed will work for our investor or our tenant, then we're good. If it's way more and nobody goes for it, then we don't have a deal. It's that simple.
No, do you own the property?
You don't own any of these properties except, you don't own, okay, you don't own any of these properties, okay, of the high-end stuff. You just imagine it buyers and sellers. Here, you do own the properties, and notice, notice here how much you're paying for the property if you do this as your own business. People look at me and go, Dan, are you serious? You don't buy the property, you don't spend any money anywhere, you don't spend a dime out of your pocket, and yet you're 50% owner, and you get cash flow rent, and you get profit at the end? And I say, yeah. And why? Because there's a lot of people out there, doctors, attorneys, whatever, that say, Dan, the last thing I want to do is deal with tenants. I hate properties, I hate managers, I hate contractors, I hate all that stuff. I just want a good return on my money. Is 35% return on your money in 1 year good enough? Can you do better with the stock market? Okay, that's why they do it. But you have to know how to do this, or you could go broke, and your investor could go broke, and there could be lawsuits and everybody really upset if you're not really on top of the game and doing it properly. And that's why you don't just jump into it. You gradually work yourself into it, to the point where you have the credibility, and people go, yeah, I trust you. You're doing it. Okay? Any other questions? 2:30? You're right, Paul. Follow the PowerPoint. Do it right, because now what's going to happen here is Victor is back, $5,000 check. This guy really is doing his own business. You know, he copied me so well that he even called his company Creative Real Estate, National Real Estate. It was so close to mine, I thought, well, why don't you change your name to Dan Victor Ringwald or something? And I got to say it to you. I hope you're very successful, Victor.
Yeah.
Because it would just make me feel great to know
It's
that
been
I
going
did
well.
some little tiny piece in your life to help you.
No, it's been, no, I've learned a lot, and, you know, just share it with everyone else, like Steven next to me, he's pretty much taking on the new role.
Yep,
Very cool. Good guy. Stick with him.
definitely.
Doing
Good man.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. So we got Paul. What we're going to do is take a little 5-minute break. You guys, the bathrooms are down here, patio out there. We're going to get Paul set up here. Come on back, and he's the man.